Preparing for the long Canadian winter is something that you want to have in mind the minute that you decide to bring horses home to your property. For us, it took about 2 winters before figuring out everything that we wanted to have in place in order for our horses to have the best possible winter. So, number one, you want to make sure that your horses have big enough stalls that when they do have to stay inside for blizzards or for days when there's too much ice on the ground, that the stalls are big enough for them to be comfortably walking around in. So for us, our stall size is 12 feet by 12 feet. And that's the very minimum size that I would ever consider for a full-sized horse stall. The next thing is a paddock. So over here, we have large paddocks. As you can see, we'll start over here actually. So in the summer, I have this first paddock, the middle paddock where the gate is way back there, and then behind the barn and over to this side of the barn, we have a third very large paddock for our horses to be able to graze all summer, well, spring, summer, and fall. So now moving on to winter, this paddock here is what we call our sacrifice paddock. So this paddock was dug about 4 feet deep. It was filled with stone and then landscaping mesh on top of the stone, topped with racetrack sand. So this drains exceptionally well when there's a lot of precipitation, which oddly enough, you would think that when it's cold and snowy, the ground is hard. Well, it's not. Usually when the first few snows happen, the ground isn't frozen. So today, the ground isn't frozen, but then there's a coating of snow on top, a layer of precipitation. So it's very mushy and it will destroy the grounds of your property if you don't have a sacrifice paddock like this small paddock here. So in your sacrifice paddock, you want to make sure that you have fencing that's extremely secure because the paddock is smaller. So if your horses get moving around, you want to make sure that that's going to contain them safely, as any area, but especially the sacrifice paddock. We have electric fencing. Our horses are quite used to having a sacrifice paddock, so we don't have a wood rail around the top. But I would strongly recommend anyone who's newly introducing their horse to a sacrifice paddock that you put a wood rail across the top, just so the horses can see the fence and have a physical barrier in addition to the electric fencing, if you're choosing electric fencing. So the next thing is the sacrifice paddock must have, no exceptions, must have somewhere for your horses to stand to get out of the weather. So we have this very tall run-in shelter. We just have 2 sides enclosed. Usually 3 sides are enclosed. But the reason that we only have 2 is that our sacrifice paddock is quite small. So we figured it would be safer for the horses to be able to move without that third wall in the way. So as I come into the sacrifice paddock, I just want to show you that we also have a gate from our sacrifice paddock. So this is our only run-in shelter. We do have our barn, and the stalls from our barn lead out to our paddocks. So in the spring, summer, and fall, our horses can have shelter in the barn. However, we have a gate here leading out to the largest grass paddock that we have. And the reason we have this gate is so that in the spring, summer, and fall, our horses can still access this beautiful run-in shelter. So gates are your friend when you're looking to maximize use of your land and use of your shelters. Now we're going to head inside, and I want to talk about putting the horses outside. Barrels outside that I change every day. But right now, this weather, that's not going to do any good. So I have a heated electric pail. that I'm probably going to set either here or here, probably away from the gate, so that when I dump it, the water isn't right at the gate. And I'll plug it into our outdoor plug right here once the horses are out in the paddock. Okay, let's get inside here. We have Vinny waiting. The barn's a mess. I haven't cleaned it yet. But I have Vinny, because it is snowing today, I have him in a rain sheet. Hi, Snoopy. Hi, Vinny. Now, the weather is only about -2 degrees Celsius. My horses are not ridden, so I want to make sure that they're growing the best possible winter coats. But I also want to protect their backs from getting wet with precipitation. And so I have a thin rain sheet today so that Vinny and Snoopy will both be working on growing their winter coats, because they'll be a little cool, not cold, but they'll be a little chilly. And so they're still growing their coats, but with protection so that their backs aren't wet. If you don't put a sheet on your horse to protect their back from the precipitation, you're putting your horses at huge risk. Oh, excuse me, Lexi wants in. Hi. You're putting your horses at huge risks for colic and other illnesses. I'm not going to discuss colic specifically today, but you want your horse's back nice and dry so that they're feeling well while they're outside. And when you bring them back inside. Okay, Vinny, let's go on outside. So today is Vinny's first day in the sacrifice paddock. I just closed that gate today. So he hasn't seen the snow yet. They stayed inside yesterday because it was blizzarding too much. The first time they come out in the sacrifice paddock, they're a bit, number one, nervous because they see the snow. But number two, he's going to be a bit wild because he's now enclosed in the smaller paddock and he's just not used to that. Vinny's 20 years old, so I don't know, maybe he won't be crazy. He's seen enough winters to know the drill. So yes, I just brushed him. Just put that nice blanket on to protect him from getting wet. And what's the first thing he does? Come out and roll. There we go. Buddy. Whoa. Yeah, even at 20 years old, he's still frisky. Good boy. Let me just fix your bum here. There. Hey, hey, hey. Woo! Now, I've always been told you don't want horses eating their hay or really anything off of sand, which is what I said was the top layer of our sacrifice paddock. So one year we did build this entire back wall of the run-in shed was a hay rack. I made my husband build that and put it up. And he made the most beautiful rack. And what both Vinny and Snoopy did was every morning I would load it with hay. And every morning they would pull all of the hay out of the hay rack onto the ground and then eat it off the ground. I haven't had any problems with colic, but that's just one thing to be aware of with the base footing of your run-in shelter where you're going to be putting your hay. Just beware of sand colic, but I have never had that. Just my 2 horses. It could be different for your horses, so just be aware of that. Now I had, oh, nice hairdo, Vinny. Nice. I can hear Snoopy screaming, so I'm going to get back inside and get him. And we'll come on back out. All right, Snoopy, horse 2, blanketed, ready to go outside. He is a bit annoyed that he had to be brushed and blanketed before coming out. We can hear Vinny screaming for him. Yes, it snowed, buddy. You stay right there, Vinny. Oh, good boy. Okay. He might have a roll too. I don't know. Okay, I'll get their water ready now. Smart Canadians will set up all of their winter stuff before the first snowfall or freeze, and this is why. There we go. Because everything freezes in the winter. So, my heated or heatable water bucket for the horses, there we go, is in this shed. I stored it here over the winter, or rather over the summer. So, should have been done before the first snowfall. From earlier videos I've done, you'll know I have my extension cords ready to go. I only need 1 today. Oh, thought they were ready to go. There we go. Let's get our water heating right away before it freezes. Okay. There we go. So now we have heated water. You're going to have to make sure that your horses aren't stepping over this electrical cord wherever you put it. So last year, I had the water pail right here. I put the cord under the fence and out in the grass paddock to the plug. But this year I have the chicken pen, and I don't want my chickens pecking the wires. So for right now, my fix until I can brainstorm something better is to have it here. So our water's full. I'll put the electric fencing on once this is finished filling. The horses are standing in the shelter with their hay. So they're not standing out in the precipitation. Plus they have blankets if they do decide to come out in the precipitation. So they're covered. They have hay. They have warm water. They're secure because the electric will be on, and we're all set. Our winter setup is complete. Please subscribe if you'd like to learn more about our day-to-day lives. With horses, chickens, a rabbit, a cat, and dogs. That one's empty now, Snoop. You got to come over to the warm one. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye.